Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister who became homeless just after she gave birth to her and my soon-to-be ex-husband's baby? My sister, 24 female, and I, 26 female, were really close our whole lives. We moved away from our parents together when she was 18 and I was 20. I met my soon-to-be ex-husband here, and we got married. My sister stayed close and we spent a lot of time together. Then a few months ago, I learned my sister was pregnant, and my husband was the father. I ended my marriage to him immediately and told my sister I wanted nothing more to do with her and that she was on her own. I had some of her stuff at my place and left it at my ex's place for her. For the rest of the pregnancy, they were living together. Then after the baby was born, he wouldn't let her back in. She called our parents from the hospital and told them she had nowhere to go, that he was looking for custody, didn't want her back, and I wasn't answering her calls. My parents called me, and after they explained what was going on, I told them it wasn't my problem. They tried to argue, but I wasn't having any of it. She got a place at a shelter for single parents, and she's still there several weeks later. With a custody dispute, she can't move back to our parents, and I am still refusing to help her out. My parents are angry because I won't even take her calls or reply to any of the messages she sent. I actually blocked her because I knew she wouldn't stop. My parents don't know that part. They're telling me I should be ashamed of myself for turning my back on her and the baby. I told my parents I owe her and the baby nothing. I also told them it was just a shame she didn't choke on his junk while they were sleeping together behind my back. My parents called me disgusting for leaving them homeless and said that I have room and could help. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Blood doesn't equal responsibility. Anyone saying it's not the baby's fault is ridiculous. The responsibility lies on the parents, not the aunt, uncle, grandparents, strangers, etc. The dad is a bum. The mom is a bum. Grandparents should be sending her money to get into a hotel. Also, since she's homeless, she needs to go home to her parents. Custody battle or not, she's gonna lose the kid because she doesn't have a stable home for the kid. Why suffer in a shelter until then? Consequences of one's actions. If OP's parents don't want to take responsibility for their daughter and grandchild, that child will 100% end up in the ex's custody because the mother can't provide a permanent address that isn't a shelter. Say OP did house her sister in Nibbling. Does the sister get the bigger bedroom because of the baby? And what about baby expenses and childcare? Is OP supposed to do that too because her sister is tired from taking care of a newborn? That baby might be innocent, but neither it nor its birth mom is OP's responsibility. Not the a-hole. You're in a no-win situation. Your family betrayed you. Your parents don't have your back. I'd go very low contact at the moment. Write an email today saying everything you want to say, why you're hurt, and how there's no easy solution and why your relationship has changed. But don't send it. Get as much sleep as you can tonight. Look back over the email tomorrow morning, and if you still feel the same, send it. Not the a-hole. Good job standing your ground and having boundaries. Your sister will figure her stuff out eventually, but that's not your concern. Your parents are on thin ice for trying to force you to help that backstabber. So far, my parents act like I'm supposed to care more about what she's going through than what she put me through, and that won't be happening. Ask your father how he would feel if his brother slept with his wife, got her pregnant, and then they moved in together. Or your mom, if her sister did the same. Ask them to explain it to each other on the phone with you, and if you like their answers, then you will take her call. But of course you never will. Do not take her call. Better yet, OP, ask your father which one of you guys are actually your uncle's kid, because their reaction is very telling. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not trying to make a relationship with my bio dad or his younger kids work after he came back into mine and my sister's life? I, 16 male, was raised by my maternal grandparents along with my sister, 14 female. Our mom died when my sister was 6 months old and our bio dad took off. Our grandparents took us in and have been raising us ever since. I never really thought about my bio dad. I knew he existed, and I knew he left right after mom died. He didn't even stick around for her funeral, but I never felt like I was missing something by not having him in my life. My sister was more curious than me for sure, but she didn't feel like she wanted him to come back either. Her curiosity was more about why. Our grandparents told us that before Mom died, he had been a pretty devoted dad to us and husband to her. A little over a year ago, he made contact for the first time in 13 years and asked my grandparents if he could come and see us. They asked us, and we didn't want to. Stuff got said. I'm not sure on all the details, only that my grandparents suggested he wait until we were over 18. He ended up suing for custody of us. We had to talk to a guardian ad litem and a judge, and I told both I didn't want to talk to my bio dad. The judge decided to put us into therapy with our bio dad, even after what we said. It's once a week. Every weekend we go in person. We've been going since it started. We also have to do 2 meetups a month with him and his family. He's got a wife and 3 more kids, all 8 and under. These meetups have been going on for about 8 months now. I only go to the meetups and therapy because I have to. The judge insists on it happening. I told the therapist that's the only reason I'm going. It comes up sometimes because he tries to give us homework to help us form a relationship, and I don't do it. To be honest, I just sit there and only talk sometimes. I've listened to my bio dad explain why he left and stayed away for so long. I believe him, I guess, but it doesn't change what I want. He's also talked about how much his kids love spending time with us and how they all hope we can spend more time together in the future. In the last 2 months, there's been tension in therapy and during the meetups. It started when my sister corrected a therapist after he referred to Dad's other kids as our younger siblings. She told him, "I'm his sibling, not those other kids." Our bio dad looked upset and said in another session that he hoped it would change because his younger kids already talk about their older brother and sister. Then he got into a fight with his wife during a meetup. She was trying to blame my grandparents for us not spending time with them sooner, and I told her we hadn't wanted to meet him when he reached out. She then tried to blame my grandparents for how I felt. She defended her opinion, saying it was in our best interest. I told her to mind her own business and that she had nothing to do with me or my sister. She didn't like it, and my bio dad didn't like it. I refused to apologize because I believe what I said. In therapy, my bio dad said he'd like more time with us and was hoping the judge would make that happen next time. I said I didn't want to and told him the only reason I'm doing any of this is because the judge is making me. I told him I don't want to be a part of his family or make a relationship work. My sister said she feels the same and doesn't want to keep in touch with his other kids, which she had mentioned in therapy and during meetups. I said I felt the same. My bio dad said he felt really disappointed that we wouldn't give him a chance, and he sort of begged us to at least give his kids the sibling relationship they wanted. When we didn't say anything to that, the tension got worse. The therapist told us we should try to make things work, because most people don't try as hard as he does to make up for past mistakes. It's not that I hate him, I just really don't care. My grandparents have us seeing therapists of our own too. I don't hate that therapy. But all of this with bio dad isn't what I want. Am I the a-hole for that? Not the a-hole. First of all, it sounds like you've been through a lot. Being raised by your grandparents after your mom passed and your dad left is a huge emotional burden for anyone, and it makes total sense that you wouldn't just want to jump into a relationship with someone who walked away without a second thought for so long. It's not about hating your bio dad. It's about having your own space to heal and your own boundaries. Thank you so much. I'm glad people can see it's not about hating him. I know a lot of times people assume that's the reason. Therapy with my therapist has been way better than the forced therapy with my bio dad and my sister. It's really pointless, but I know I can make the judge change his mind. I'll keep dealing until it changes. Congratulations, OP, for standing your ground. Your maturity level and the way you communicate with clarity are wonderful. Kudos to your grandparents. Now the other adults, the judge, bio dad, his wife, are dumb as dirt. Not validating you and your sister's feelings and trying to force a relationship using guilt and fear is BS. Continue your path. Your 18th birthday will happen soon. You'll be able to walk away. Best gift ever. Maybe even before, but I don't think the judge will give up before then, which sucks. But I'll be 18 eventually, and then the judge doesn't get a say in my life anymore. My sister has longer to go until she can make her decision, unfortunately. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not accepting being best man at my niece's wedding because she wants me to enter with my ex-wife? Me, 36, and my ex-wife, 34, were married for 10 years and have been separated, divorced for 4 years, because she cheated on me with one of the interns. This betrayal was a huge blow to me because we had built a future together. Even without children, something I, being sterile, could never provide her, it was never an issue for us until she used it against me. When I caught them in the act, she threw it in my face to justify herself. My whole family knew about the situation and stood by me during the separation. Except for my niece, who was always very attached to both of us, especially my ex-wife. She said I should forgive her. Although it hurt, I couldn't continue the marriage. After the separation, I was able to gradually rebuild my life and even found a new girlfriend, whom I'll call Jane, 32. She has 2 adorable children, John, 14, and Anne, 6, and I love them as if they were my own. 4 months ago, I received an invitation to my niece's wedding, which I promptly accepted until she told me she hoped my ex-wife and I would both be her best man and maid of honor at the wedding. I was shocked and firmly told her that I could not accept the invitation under those terms. I also made it clear that if my ex-wife was involved in that capacity, I wouldn't even attend the wedding or participate in any way. She got upset and broke down crying. Now my family is telling me that I'm being too harsh and should do this for my niece's sake. Even my girlfriend seems to feel guilty and has said it would be okay for just 1 day. However, I don't think it's fair. Am I an idiot? Now for the comments. Info. Is your current partner invited? Not particularly, but when I asked, my niece said that she could go, though she'd prefer that my girlfriend and her 2 children stay with some family friends, who also have kids, during the party, while I stayed with our family, which also included my ex, out of consideration. That was one of the reasons I declined so quickly. You can't avoid your ex being at the wedding, but you definitely don't need to walk in with her. This seems like some strange attempt by your niece to recreate the old family, but it's not appropriate. I think they feel a little nostalgic for how long we were together. Plus, a part of my family didn't like the idea that I was treating my girlfriend's children as if they were my own. If you want to be blunt, ask your niece to invite the man your ex cheated with, if she's so determined to bring the past back. Hard no to this offer. It might be her big day, but it doesn't mean she gets to dictate your life for that day. Not the a-hole. I almost said that at a time, but I'm glad I controlled myself. Thinking, well, I think I can thank my girlfriend for advising me to go to therapy. I'll try to talk to my niece again, though maybe not before I drink some alcohol, to give me courage and try to find some solution between us. I hope she gives up on this crazy idea, or else I don't think I know how I'm going to face her big day without my smile falling. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not making my kids attend their half and step siblings' birthdays? I, 42 female, have 2 children, 16 female and 14 male, with my ex, 44 male. Our marriage ended because he cheated on me, at least 12 times, while I was pregnant with our son. More than likely, he was unfaithful throughout our relationship and marriage. But I know for sure about those instances during my 2nd pregnancy. I told him our marriage was over, and we divorced after our son was born. He married one of the other women he cheated with, but that marriage lasted only a few weeks. Then my ex met Janelle. I'm not exactly sure how old she is, so I won't speculate. My ex and Janelle got married very quickly, less than a year after his 2nd divorce. She had her own children, and together they had more kids. Ever since they met, their relationship has been on and off, with multiple breakups, reconciliations, and even children conceived outside of their marriage. They've moved frequently because of these breakups. The kids hated being at their dad's house for this reason, and never had a good relationship with anyone in this household, including him. For a long time, we had 50-50 custody of our kids. But he didn't always take his allotted time. Sometimes he was homeless, other times he was preoccupied with Janelle or another woman. There were also instances where he didn't give a reason and simply didn't pick them up. To the best of my knowledge, he now has 7 kids and 4 stepchildren. However, I can't confirm the exact number since I don't fully keep track of his household. 2 years ago, my kids told me they no longer wanted to go to their dad's house. I asked the judge to modify the custody order to reflect their wishes. There was a 6-month transitional period of court-ordered therapy with my kids and my ex to attempt reconciliation, but he didn't always show up. This was enough for the judge to decide that the kids could choose whether or not to visit him. Since then, they've chosen not to visit their dad, and I fully support their decision. They have no relationship with him or the other children. This arrangement wasn't an issue until recently when my ex called to say he wanted them to attend his 10-year-old's birthday party. He said they needed to start showing up for their siblings' birthdays because the other kids had been asking about them and wondered why they never came around. I didn't make any promises that the kids would attend because I never intended to force them. They didn't want to go, saying they didn't want to see the other kids or participate in their birthdays. That birthday party was a few weeks ago, and since then, my ex has repeatedly called me, accusing me of being disgusting for not making the kids show love to their half and step siblings. He told me this is a relationship that needs work. I told him I wouldn't force it and to stop contacting me about it. He sent me a video of the birthday child crying, claiming they were upset about my kids not coming. I have no way of knowing if this was true. He followed up with another video of some of the kids saying they missed my children and asking them to come home soon. Later, I received a text from an unknown number, which I assume was Janelle, calling me a petty and heartless witch and demanding that I make the kids attend events of their siblings. I've documented everything but have not responded further, although more texts have come in. Am I the a-hole for not making my kids go? Not the a-hole. Your kids are old enough to make up their own mind, and they did. I wouldn't force them to go either. Heck, even a judge determined these children could overrule their man-child father. If I were Opie, I would threaten to sue for harassment if they don't stop and then follow through. Not the a-hole Opie. Not the a-hole. Time to switch to one of those parenting apps where all contact goes through the app and everything else is blocked. I believe you can upload texts and such too. If I were you, I'd go no contact with both parents. Any monetary needs or expenses can go through the court. Continuing conversations with them will only lead to more abuse and manipulation. I've researched those parenting apps, and asking the judge to require us to use one could help. I still need to communicate with him, since even without visitation, he needs to be informed about certain things related to our kids. I'll get started on that. Yes, also address any attempt to contact your children directly preemptively. All contact through the app. You don't want them trying to guilt or pressure your kids somehow.